Welcome. I'm a fanboy. You're a fanboy. I'm a bet man that anybody watching this is a fanboy of their favorite guitars and amps, Xbox, PlayStation, console,
Chevys,
PC.
Fords, everything. Everybody's a fanboy.
We all become fanboys.
Whether you think you are or not.
I know. It's like we want to talk about our sort of paths to fanboyness because we thought that was funny, and like because it forces you to sort of analyze yourself, how it happened, and just the way you got there. Because looking at you, I'd be like, that's a Les Paul player,
Nope.
through and through. I mean, right? Like, look at yourself. I'm going to stereotype you.
And yet,
you are the hillbilly Little Mermaid in my mind. That's what I think.
That's me. It's a great description.
A whole new world. Whatever that song is. Is it A Whole New World, or is that what she said?
No, it's Under the Sea.
No, that's the song they sing with the
Whole New
crowd.
World is in that Aladdin.
I don't know. Part of this world. Part of this world.
Part of this world.
That's what the trailer dropped.
Yeah.
Which is a cool trailer.
That's true.
Anyway, so click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
That stuff. Let's get going.
That's how you become a fanboy. It's not. We don't have fanboys.
I just help you not miss these videos if you want to see them. And if you don't, just scroll right by. It doesn't matter except for hurting our feelings.
It could work. It could not. The algorithm's strange.
Really hurt our feelings.
Give it and take it away.
So you're a Fender player.
I do love Fenders.
How did you become a Fender fanboy?
I think it was a combination of two things. I've thought about this in the 30 seconds before we start.
I've actually had time to think about this. I've known about this topic for a while.
I think it was a combination of two things.
Okay.
I think it was my first early sort of idols played that.
Okay.
And my availability, what was available to me.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I think those were the two.
Who are your
parts.
idols?
I mean, I was a hardcore. I loved Eric Clapton. I wanted to be Eric Clapton, and then obviously it was Hendrix. But I just, I was super into Clapton, and I just saw him playing Strats, and I was like, that's it. And then I saw him. I got really into Blind Faith, and he played that the concert where he plays the Telly with the Strat neck, and I was like, oh, Telly. And then when I saw that, there was a little shop near me that had a wine red standard made in Mexico Telly, and I thought it was the coolest, most badass thing
the
ever.
Highway 1. Remember
no,
those?
This was before that. This was way before that.
Okay.
No, I did have a Highway 1, but this was before that.
That's what's behind the camera way back in that wall. I think that's a Highway 1, the
cool.
lefty.
That was maybe my first ever American Telly was a Highway 1. But, so that kind of cemented it to me. And then I think you just sort of, you buy in. And in my brain, there was still a point there where I, thought I wanted to be a Les Paul player.
Yeah, because you look like one.
Well, Jimmy Page, a lot of the stuff I started listening to, obviously, the other side of it was Allman Brothers and, Leonard Skinner and that kind of stuff. Oh, Les Paul. Graduate to Les Paul. But then by the time I got my hands on a real Les Paul, I had been playing Fender so long. I was like, oh, what is this?
For me.
And I didn't know the differences or what was a good Les Paul and what was a bad Les Paul. So then for a while I wrote it off and I was like, oh, I just love Fender. Fender is superior in every way. And I had a fanboy.
And the accessibility is the affordability too.
That was a big part of it, right? Like
Les Pauls were unobtainium
in my mind.
People.
Les Paul back then, it was just nobody had them. They were crazy expensive. You didn't see them all the time. I always saw Fenders and PVs. Well, me and not a PV fanboy, but
they were everywhere. And then there was a lot of PV fanboys because of that.
And they were the PV stuff you saw was Fender style stuff. She's oh, we all want to be Fender, even if we don't have Fender,
Yes. Now, it sounds like a lot is the influential part is how you were, because it was and I think we're all all of us of this sort of age. It was Clapton, Hendrix, Steve Ray Vaughan, Eric Johnson's a little mini one. Then there's Jimmy Page. There's Mark Knopfler. Maybe once you get more deep into it.
That was later on for me.
It's way later usually for a lot of cats.
Yeah.
And David Gilmour again later. He's not the same fanboyable until you're more mature guitar player.
Right.
But it's Hendrix and Clapton and Page, or so the gods.
Right.
And then the demigods of and Steve Ray Vaughan now. Yeah. But then you get the other guys, but it's. Yeah, they kind of, and I would say there was some of that with me as well, because I'm also a huge Fender fanboy. Most folks know that, but I was a Gibson player for a long time.
Okay,
as my primary, and that's just because my parents got me an old '78 Deluxe for really affordably back in the old days when that was the thing. And I was just I had that. I had a nice Fender Strat too, but it was the lace sensors.
Yep.
And so it was kind of the Clapton-y of the early '90s phase. That was it was awesome to have that, and so those were sort of my main guitars. And I never really played anything nicer than that. And then it was really when I was on tour with Richard Lloyd, and I got to play his 61 Strat. Because I just never played an old Strat before.
Right.
Ever. Like, it's just not something you get access to. And I'm like, oh, it's an old Strat. Like, I got to... So I would set it up sort of before the show, and then sort of run through it, make sure it's working. And it blew me away.
That's pretty awesome.
Blew me away. Just like an old Fender. Because like all I was used to was like, 90s, some of the late 80s, like early 2000s sort of thing. And they were good. They're just like, make a good machine. It was...
Well, see, I was so the same, because I don't think I got into like, what I think of now as like a good guitar, really, until I moved to, like, even in Charleston, it was just, Mexican-made Fenders and maybe an American Standard occasionally. You know what I mean?
Play the tools that you have access to.
I knew one guy who had a custom shop, and for months I'd see the little V on the back of his Strat, and I was like, what is
I didn't know what a custom shop was until way later.
Yeah.
Like well after my professional times in New York, too.
So, yeah, exactly.
I was like, I played one. I heard about them, but I played one by accident at a Sam Ash, and that's the one I ended up buying. But it just blew me away. I didn't know a new Fender could be that good.
Right.
And it just sort of, I was like, oh, so that was sort of the transition periods where it started with Richard.
Was that was after you played the 61 of Richard's?
I was after. And I was like, how do you find a guitar? Because I went to guitar stores looking for it. I bought the Mexican one. That was like the 69 Strats with the 12-inch radius. Yep. I sent it back. I didn't like it. I got it at Sweetwater, I think. I just didn't like the 12-inch board at that point. I probably love that guitar now. And it was like $800 or something.
Yeah.
Seemingly affordable by today's standards. They had I think the custom shop 69s or something at the point, and it screamed. It was a great guitar, but I was stupid. But I just didn't have the magic until I played that custom shop, the Daphne Blue one, and it blew me away. But Richard's guitar really did. I didn't know what a great Fender could be.
Yeah. And
how it could sort of be everything, and that's what brought me to the Stratocaster so much. And I've sort of been obsessed with it ever since. Amps. What about amps? So you're like a Supro guy. Kidding.
I did go,
you were Supro for a bit.
I'm gonna
you're Magnatone.
And I've always loved Fender amps. I've never been a Marshall amp guy.
Right.
I bought into the Fender amp stuff first. Again, it was what was available, and I just liked the sound sitting there. I'd never been exposed to a ton of like good Marshalls. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody had Plexis sitting around.
No.
But there were some good deluxe reverbs.
Well, and like with Marshalls, you have to play them loud.
You have to play them loud.
Just to get sort of even that great clean sound. Because that's Marshall. Most people are mistaken. They want that Marshall distortion, which is sort of that faux distortion that came out later. With the real great Marshalls are great clean amps, but they're loud.
Well, a lot of those sounds that we think are super distorted really aren't that distorted.
Like Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And Hendrix.
AC/DC.
A lot of it's
not that distorted.
A lot of it's just awesome.
And it's just push, and it's loud.
Well, that was a weird moment.
Siri is here with us.
Quick edit.
Or not. Carry on, boys. Carry on.
So sometimes my computer likes to just like freak out, like you're talking to Siri.
Like that.
I thought that was actually really funny, though. I enjoyed that because it did this like...
I thought we were about to have like a flood warning or something, But no,
Amber Alert.
Just Siri.
No, my Siri just wakes up on my computer sometimes, like for no reason. It's like there's a ghost in the machine, and I think I don't want it to be fixed. I like it because I work the hell out of my Apple Air. I got this little Apple. It's its engine's like, please let me be, and then I found out like half my hard drive is just the operating systems. Because they're such small hard drives on these things.
That's true, yeah.
And so like I don't have, but it's always filled. Anyway, that's the story of my Apple. And I'm an Apple fanboy too. But how did you become the Magnatone fanboy that you are?
Well, see, I have a bad habit. I do this over and over again. I get into a company and I really like to go and research and like see what it is and everything they do. And so then I kind of want the whole, like I just go like, okay, I may be overly loyal. But so I like
one of those.
I did that with Super. I was like, man, these are all cool. I want to try them all. And I just so I do. And then the first time I ever really played a Magnatone was at NAMM in 2020. We went and we were looking at them in the booth, looking amazing. We met our buddy Rod Washburn, and we were like, okay, let's play these because they look fantastic. I'd heard of them. I was aware of them. I knew in my brain that what I imagined the tone to be that I liked, right? But they're also pretty expensive, you know? But we played them in AM, and I was just like, holy, you know what, Baxter, like, we have to have these in the store. And I think I bought the first one.
You were part of the first batch. It was you and Mark Myers got like the first ones.
And I was just like, man, this is awesome. And in that case, you know, we are, again, in a unique position where we get to interact with the company, right? So, like, when I feel like the company is also super cool and, you know.
Magnatone is a cool, and, like, Supro was a really cool company, too. Like, I loved, like, Dave Koltai and, like, the whole team. Like, he had great guys that were working with them.
My rep was amazing. He was super cool.
Yeah, and then when Pigtronics and all those were together, and then they got sort of acquired by D'Angelico, which is fine. But once it sort of got absorbed, it's just, you know, it loses a bit of the magic.
Agreed.
You know, just like, you know, having that sort of one-on-one sort of conversational type of, you know, we're all music lovers first and foremost, and we happen to sell your cool toys too.
And I still love the Supro stuff. At some point, I'll have some of that old Supro stuff back. I just unfortunately cannot afford to hoard quite as many amps.
Why not?
I don't know.
You can go into debt like me.
I could, or space. My wife would kill me. But
I mean, because your she shed can only hold so many.
My she shed only holds so many amps. But and I mean, that company back when they were what you described took amazing care of me. There was a video we did. You know,
oh God, yeah,
I lost some stuff in the fire. I mean, so like I will always think of them as being amazing.
Those cats were awesome. That was cool.
You know, so pretty amazing. But, you know, I just get into it, and I just, when I find something that works and that works well for what I'm currently doing, the sounds I'm currently chasing, I think I just kind of, I tend to go all in, you know.
Well, I was also a Fender fanboy with amps more than I had my PV Classic 30, as we all did. I still have it.
Me too.
I think somebody's borrowing it right now. A friend from England is borrowing it right now. My golfing buddy. I don't get to play golf with him, but he plays golf, and that's why I call him my golfing buddy. It makes me sound more cultured.
Funny coincidence. I got my PV Classic 30 by trading a portable putting green to a pawn shop.
The golf connection happens again. Classic 30s win. No, I always loved the Fenders because that's just what you could get. That and Classic 30s, and like Marshalls again, were like there were these big, heavy, scary, imposing, big black 412 things that didn't make sense in the world of living at your parents' house.
Well, Fender amps just work, right? Like if you have to play quiet, they sound pretty good. Pedals sound good with them. If you crank them up, they're magical. It's just my
parents got me a red knob, like sort of Fender twin back in the early '90s, I think, and it was my thing. Somebody stole it decades later, or a decade and a half later, unfortunately. But
do you watch Ask Zach on YouTube?
I do not.
So he used to do these True Tone Lounge interviews, and I think this one is on Ask Zach, not on True Tone, but it's the same guy. It's Zach Childs doing the interviews either way, and he's got Don Kelly, the guy from Roberts, with all the guitar players, Brent Mason and JD Simo and Red Volkart and got the everybody, Daniel Donato, Luke McQuarrie is amazing, friend of Chandler's. Anyways, he's giving this interview. It just came out. Go watch it. It's hilarious. And he's talking about like he'd get players, and he's like, and then this guy had Greg Glazer, but a Telecaster with EMGs. Wrong. He's basically, every time one of his guitar players would show up with something that wasn't a Telecaster and a Fender amp, he'd be like, wrong. And it was good. I was like, I
need to watch that. That's really funny.
But he's like, that's what I wanted to hear, and that's what works.
That is what works. You know, well, that just sort of led me into, now I'm a big two-rock sort of aficionado and diehard fanboy at the moment too. And it comes from that Fender lexicon and language, I think, too. So that it's very much in that world. Because I played or seen one years before, and I didn't like it because they were ugly. The little combos, and I was like, that's so expensive for how ugly that thing is. The little black one.
Not now, though. I mean, they're still insanely expensive. They're not ugly. They look amazing.
I just didn't like it. I didn't want to hear it. Then one of our customers came in the shop and wanted to like trade when he had a Bloomfield and wanted to trade. It's the one that I have now. So this is how the story goes. But I played it and I was like, you can't leave with this amp. I'm going to keep it. It's like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, let's trade right now. Let's figure out a guitar.
This is true.
I was like, that's it. I'm good with it. Let's figure it out. I want the amp. I don't care what it costs. It's mine now.
It hasn't moved from that corner since then.
It stays. It's gone on the roof a couple times.
That's true. That's true.
But I think that doesn't leave the building.
No.
It stays in the studio, and then it's gone up to the roof for when we do concerts or something. But No, it's it, and now I love everything that I would like to have one of each of the two rocks because they're all different, even though they live in the same.
I mean, yeah,
And I like the corporate culture of that company too because they're keeping it very boutique. They're keeping a small production run. They Eli checks every amp before it goes out. If something's ever wrong, like they take care of it, like a jackrabbit that's right on top of it, Johnny on the spot fixing it. Gotta be Johnny on the spot with the ammo up him. Come on, up him. No, he needs ammo over here. I don't have the MG. Or whatever, sorry. I mean, Saving Private Ryan flashbacks. Great movie, by the way. Can't wait to watch it with my kids. Can't wait.
Pretty great.
God, a few more years. Probably quite a few more years. My kids are sensitive.
She's good. That's a good thing.
I think I could probably do Band of Brothers first. That's not quite as visceral. You still see some people's faces get blown off, I think.
Which is okay.
That's just part of, they seem like Eternals and all that stuff, like the world gets ended pretty much.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe not quite as realistic.
I have started watching The Boys now.
Have you?
This last season. I saw the first episode with the whole penis thing. Ridiculous.
A little bit.
But hilarious. But no, I think I've done 2 episodes now, and it's good season so far.
Oh, it's good. It's very good.
When that mascot at the Disneyland place gets blown up, that was hilarious.
That was hilarious, but it ramps up. I know you don't believe me.
No, I hear
it's going to ramp up from there. And you think, what could possibly be like worse or grosser? But trust me, it's going to get there.
I mean, I love Homelander. I think he is fantastic to watch on camera.
No, that actor, yeah. It's funny because I watch some things on YouTube of interviews with those guys.
Yes.
And he's like so normal and not psychotic, and you're like, wow.
But sometimes you see him on like some of his other social media where he stays in character with the rest of the cast and all being fun.
Yeah.
He's like, God, I hate you. I hate you so much.
And that's great, yeah.
It's just he has a great character. It's a fun show. If you haven't watched Homelander, The Boys.
I mean, it basically is Homelander, but yeah, it's The Boys.
No, I mean it's such a good. I think that's the most realistic superhero portrayal, more so than Marvel.
Oh yeah,
that's what would probably happen.
That's totally what would happen.
Somebody would commercialize it and try to make money out of it and make it a business and yada yada yoinks. That's the idea. So no, that's how I got to Two Rocks. And that's how and Fenders has always just been Fender, just because it's.
Yeah, I mean, and I still would consider myself a Fender fanboy for amps and guitars.
I know,
because I mean, there's just not really a bad Fender amp.
But here's the trick too: like once I played Gibson custom shops too, it sort of ruined me. It did, because they're so good. I don't understand why they're so much better than the production of Gibson.
I know.
I don't get it. It's just a different level. The tone, the feel, the look.
But I mean, sort of the Fender custom shops are too. I mean, I know I'd probably be happier with a production Fender.
Yes.
In most cases than for production Gibson.
I'm going to say yes to that all the way, because I'll play an American Pro 2 all day.
But I mean, I've kind of migrated. We were talking about me being a Fender fanboy, but I've migrated to my rig a lot of days now is a 335 and a not Fender-y at all Magnatone M80.
Yeah, so you're kind of going to like the Marshall Gibson route.
But I mean, like, and I think
one of the things, kid.
I'm growing up. Hey, one day we all graduate. But Magnatone sort of in my brain nailed the Gibson thing, or the Marshall thing,
right?
That I wanted to sort of hear, like with the bass and not so.
That stupid PRS Hendrix amp is so good too. Yeah. It's so frustratingly good. If you have a chance to be in a store and play one, it's loud as hell. But
and there's no like dialing it down or attenuating. Like you have to get your own attenuator if you want it.
I do wish they built the master into that. That would have been like the creme de la creme.
Or some attenuator. Like if it was attenuated on the back, that would be pretty sweet. Like you go down to like 10 watts or something crazy, 5 watts, you know.
Yes, but it's such a good sounding amp. I hate to say that. We'll probably do a whole thing on that amp at some point. Just it's a really good amp.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
It is.
Yeah, so that's kind of. Share your stories below, just with everybody, all the people leaving comments. It's just like, it's so nice to sort of hear the journeys, because it's so similar for a lot of us, but I love looking at the different ones.
Yeah, I did too. Wow. And it's okay to be a fanboy for these things. Like when you love these things, I think it's fun. You know?
I'm an Xbox fanboy. Even though I respect the PlayStation, I just happen to I cut my teeth in Xbox, so that's where I stay. I just kind of have to. It's like, you Bloods or you Crips. I don't know anything about those cultures actually, but I do know a lot about the Xbox and PlayStation cultures for real.
There you go.
They're pretty unhealthy as well.
That's also probably true.
Yeah. But I am the game I'm playing is Hell Let Loose, and that's the best community I've seen on a game in years.
It's cool.
Because they're nice and supportive and helpful.
Until they shoot you in the face.
It's not like going on some of these music forums where they just want to rag on you for no reason or just hate. Just be happy. Again, at the end of the day, just be happy out there. Share your stories.
Yeah.
Bobby McFerrin style.
I like it.
Acapella. Can I go now?
I think that's it.
Take us home sort of in another way? Say bye.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us. We always are very appreciative.
Thank you.